This couple cut a hole in the roof of the Nissan Xterra and turned it into a full-time tiny home. For the past 4 years, they've lived on the road with their dog Ella, chasing one single goal: to visit every US national park. This is the most insane Xterra build you've ever seen.
Hi, I'm Delia.
I'm Enoch.
And we're
Molle Xventures.
And she needs no introduction. This is Ella. And today we are going to do a very delayed rig walk around of our 2009 Nissan Xterra.
Also known as Yogi. Good girl. And as you can see, there's a giant hole in the top of my roof. So one of the reasons why I decided to cut a hole in the top of the roof is because of Delia. She wanted something that was more enclosed and a little more personal, like space, where she's not just outside cooking all the time. She wanted some internal space to be able to use. So I think she planned on us getting a van, but obviously I'm not gonna give up my Xterra, so I came up with this idea, putting a hole in the roof and creating a complete kind of mini camper inside of the vehicle. To accomplish that, we started first by removing the roof rack. Once I got the roof rack off, we took out the inside panel and kind of looked at the structural integrity parts of it. And from there, I kind of figured out that this area between the B and C pillar was safe to cut out, and it wasn't going to interfere or damage the vehicle in any way structurally. From there, once I realized that, we cut the hole. If you want to check that out, we have a whole video series on me cutting the hole and all that process. But for now, we'll just roll right into kind of how I attached it, quick overview, and we'll get into the more detailed inside. So once we test fitted the tent on top of this a few times, we come to realize, you know, there's this nice dip here, which we kind of figured we were gonna have to deal with anyways, but we needed to figure out how. So we test fitted the tent up here, this nice little slope here. And we came to the conclusion that we could come up with a nice little bracket system here, which is what we started with. Our friends in Mesa helped us to build these, and he did these in his garage for us, which was super awesome. Once we built these up, we drove around like that with the tent across the top, which leveled this whole section out. So this is nice and level going all the way to the front. So then the tent sat up here really nice and bolted in real strong, because these are all bolted into riv nuts in the rooftop. And these are all mounted in from the OEM riv nut spots from the original roof rack, and they've held up great and I've had no issues with them. Because the Overland community is so awesome, I was able to go to Elevated Overland shop, and he helped me create this 3-piece aluminum fairing. And I wanted to do this for 2 reasons. One, to reduce any wind noise that might be being created by this like cavity, that just wind going in here and whipping around. And the other part is a little bit of vanity. I do like the way it looks, and I think it made the whole system as a whole look as one piece instead of these brackets just sticking out, kind of just showing. So this really closed up the design look aspect, and then it cleaned up the wind noise quite a bit as well. So one other little bit here, as you can see, we mounted all of these to the original holes. We did the same with the tent as a whole, all the way across. So all these little holes that you see here are the original factory holes that the factory roof rack was mounted to. And then after we had it up on here, we realized that this section, there was no way to connect the tent and the roof together in this one section. So this metal was kind of flappy, as you can see here. So we added these 3 riv nuts right here, and then that goes right through the tent and pulls into this, so it sandwiches those nice and tight together, and that eliminated that little bit of flap we had here and stiffened it up real nice. So right now, as you can tell, I'm standing in the middle of it, and it's for a certain reason. You see a lot of these dots that we have on top of the roof. We have decided that we are going to 3D scan, which we've already done, but we 3D scanned the entire roof of this, and we are hoping in the near future that we're going to work on a custom gasket style system. So it'll be one solid piece, completely utilizing all of the riv nuts, because I'm not even utilizing all of the factory riv nuts. So there's actually more that I could tie into to make this even more secure and more rigid. So I'm hoping with the 3D scan that I can CAD draw up a system that will almost be like a roof rack, but really it's cleaning up all the lines and making a nice little gasket is what I like to call it. And it'll be a nice gasket that'll run all the way through the body lines, creating a perfectly flat surface over this top. And then we'll be able to mount that tent to it, really making a really solid, refined product in the end. So that way in the future, if maybe I want to do this again, that I can offer up something that is going to be a nice and refined product. So one of the big questions that we've had, because obviously we've had this build out there on the internet for a little while, but a common question that we get is they think that I cut through one of the major support pillars in here, which I did not. Fortunately with the Xterra, because of the way they designed with this little bump and the stadium seating in the back, this whole area, the only strapping, and I call them strapping, they were rigidity straps that were up here, and that's all I cut out. So there was one here, there was another one that ran across here, which it was a little bit larger stamp piece because it held part of the middle safety belt system in it. And so it is a larger piece right there. So I could understand where people maybe thought that was a major cross member or one of the major pillars that hold the vehicle together. And fortunately it was not. So we were able to remove the three. So we had 1, 2, and 3. We cut those and then cleaned up the metal on the inside. So that way it was nice and clean. I was able to put the fabric down on here. So fortunately, because of that, we were able to make this hole, and I think it worked out really, really well. We have had no issues with body flex, body roll. Everything is still perfectly square. All of our doors close as they should. Everything opens and closes as it should. So we know for a fact that cutting this area out does not do any structural integrity damage to the vehicle or to the body as a whole. And I've done a lot of hardcore off-roading and rock crawling with it like this, with the tent on top, and we still have not seen any issues over the last 2 years. So just so everyone does know how the pillars work in this vehicle, we have the A pillar, which is at the very front. It comes up and across. That is a major structural part here. And then you have your B pillar that comes right up here. And underneath this hump right here is actually the roll cage section protecting the driver and passenger in a rollover scenario. So from here back, there is no longer any rollover protection. That's one thing that by removing those rigidity straps, it does open up this area to easier crumple in an accident scenario. And we're talking about impact in. So if I rolled over and hit a rock and a rock was trying to go through the roof, that rigidity strap would mitigate or stop that rock from coming through the roof, which I no longer have. But on that same note, I do have a large aluminum box that goes over the top that is very, very strong. So I think anything I lost by removing those straps, I gained back through the way that the tent is mounted to the top of the vehicle and how secure it is on top.
As far as the rooftop tent that I used on Yogi, I went with a Big Country 4x4 rooftop tent. And the reason I went with that is it is a solid aluminum tent, welded at all the corners. There's no bolts, so it's all welded all the way around. Once I saw that that's how they did their construction, I knew that with a few modifications, I would be able to make this work for my use case. Primarily stiffening up the frame as a whole. I added 106 rivets around the base, which really stiffened up the whole frame. And that gave me the confidence that once I put it on the roof, that it was going to stiffen up the overall body of the vehicle and not make it any weaker in any way. So I was super happy to be able to find this company and that they were able to, or the tent was able to accommodate what we wanted to do with it. And it's worked out really well over the past couple of years. So right now I'm putting the truck topper foam that I use to seal the rooftop tent to the vehicle. So yeah, I'm just gonna go through and put this down. It's a closed cell foam. There's nothing special. You can buy this at Home Depot for 20 bucks, I think, maybe. I'm doing one layer here, and anywhere that it's a flat surface receives one layer. And as you can see, there's a body line here that goes and dips down. So I'll take multiple layers of this and I'll run it until I'm level with this surface here. And then it'll kind of come across there. I'll probably have like one little spot here where it mounds up just a little. So that way when the pressure's on, since it's such a large cavity that I'm filling, it will create a much firmer base here, having a little bit extra.
So if you didn't know, I'm also a cabinet maker. Ooh, pretty. We'll jump into this real quick. It's I like to say straightforward, but nothing really is. There's a lot of research that goes into all this, and it took me quite a bit of time to figure out the best way to work with all these components. But I'll try to simplify it as best I can, and let's roll with it. So first, as you can see, we've got just a regular wood countertop. This is 1/2 inch plywood, nice and easy, nothing hard here. We roll down to the side. The framing that you see here is all 2020 aluminum extrusion. I purchased all this off of Amazon. It's much, much more affordable than the 80/20 website or T-Nuts or some of the other brands out there, unfortunately. There are use cases for those higher dollar ones. They are quite nice. If you can CAD all this up and know exactly how long each piece is that you need, then you can send it out to a place like T-Nuts or 80/20 and they will cut every single piece exactly how you need it. I was not in that situation, so I just bought standard size 59-inch long 2020, and then I cut it as necessary to make it fit my application. On the inside, I just used wood again. It's on the inside, and the exterior here is all 1/4 inch paneling. I went with as thin and as light a paneling as I could. Down here, we've got a couple of locking drawer mechanisms, pretty standard in the Overland industry at this point. You just pull that and unlocks and pulls right out. You know, kind of pantry style. We have miscellaneous different things in here. Down at the bottom, again, just more miscellaneous stuff. That's all my cleaning supplies. Try to keep my tiny house as clean as possible. Over here, I installed just some power ports, nice DC power ports. It obviously just convenience. We also added a Wagon Tech 2000 watt pure line inverter. This is the remote to turn it off and on, super convenient. So we went with the Dometic faucet that they came out with, I think it was about a year and a half ago. And we tied it to a 10-gallon water tank. This is our own little hose that we got the right size so it fit around the nipple that comes off of the back here. And we have that hose running into just a Amazon 10-gallon water tank. I think it costs maybe 30 or 40 bucks compared to the $60 for the 2.5 gallon Dometic. And we just pipe the hose down into that tank, and we've had no issues with that. It's worked really, really well. So we have a nice little sink right here. We went with just like a typical bar style and it all came together with the cutting board as well. And that flows out, down and out onto our driver's side rear tire, and it hits the tire and then it flows out from there. We have a trap inside of here, so none of our food debris or anything like that goes out through there. Only gray water comes out of the sink, and then we take all that food debris and dump it into the trash, because you don't want to attract any bears if you're in that territory, and honestly, you don't want to attract any of the mice either. So less food debris you can have around your camp, the less likely you are to have a rodent come take a visit to your wires, or a larger bear. That's a whole nother story. Up top here also, almost forgot, we have our induction stove. We are 100% electric in this vehicle. We do not run anything outside of that. This runs directly to the 2000 watt pure line inverter. And then this is a truck fridge, and that's actually the name brand. It's called Truck Fridge. They make fridges for semi-trucks primarily, and that's what this came out of. This came out of a Freightliner semi-truck. It is 34 inches tall and 15 inches wide, which is exactly the size that I had available. So I'm really, really glad that they happen to make this size. And we found it on Facebook Marketplace out of Springfield for 180 bucks, I think, 160 bucks roughly. So yeah, keep your ear to the ground and eyes peeled on Facebook Marketplace, because they do have some good deals once in a while. All the way in the back here, just a couple more cabinet sections. And again, I just used 1/4 inch paneling for all those. And then we were having a lot of noise because of the cans, so we put carpet on the front side of this panel. Yeah, that helped a lot, I should say.
And this is where I keep all my pots, pans, and in an emergency situation, we do have a single burner and a high pressure gas. Those is the butane propane mix. This is for either if our power is completely dead for some reason, and or if we go on a hiking trip. We typically, maybe like a 2 or 3 day hiking trip, we would load this up and bring it with us. So on the other side, it's a pretty simple. We just did one large bench running the whole thing, and it's one big storage place as well. So what I did there is I took part of the mattress from the rooftop tent, the mattress cover and mattress, and I cut it all down and I sewed it up. So this is my top foam that we sit on that I made. Stitched all these on, and this is pretty straightforward. I just hammered some staples into it and it's held down pretty good. And this goes up, got some gas struts so it kind of helps it go up. They're a little tired, I gotta get some new ones. So this is all storage. Typically what's in here is our clothes, our camera, gear, and our shoes, and that's basically all that fits in here. The sleeping bags and tent actually fit into a side cubby here, which is the little section that pops out on the wheel well on the outside. So I shove all the tents and stuff inside of there, and that works out really well. So we found these leather straps on Amazon. We picked up a pack of 4. We used 2 of them as the handles here because we didn't want anything hard protruding out, so that way we weren't hitting anything. So when we walk through here, there's no worries about catching on anything. That was very important for us because it is a tight space. And then the other 2, I sat on them for a while and didn't know what to use them for. And then, we were hitting trails and this thing's sitting here doing this. And so I quickly came up with the thought process. We connected it to the screw in the bracket here that holds on the panel. And then I just placed the screw in the appropriate place in the top of the wood, and it just clips right over. And now it keeps it nice and tight and closed, and we don't have to hear it rattling while we're going down the trails. On the back side here, we've got a Molle panel that our good friend Brian made for us. And we've got all of our toiletry. This is our toilet right here to shovel. We've got additional first aid patches, all that fun stuff. This is our radio. It's got our ham and our GMRS. Then we got some more first aid stuff, chargers, and this is an awesome Wagon Tech light that we love this thing. As you can tell, we use it quite a bit. But solar panel, and then it's real nice and bright light here, and then you can mount it on stuff so you can direction and stuff like that. So that guy's really handy. And then safety first. Always make sure you have a fire extinguisher, especially if you're living out of your vehicle. There's a lot of stuff going on in here. If a wire got broke, a mouse got in there and chewed something up, that's something you definitely want to keep nice and handy. On the other side here is where we just stool, our step stool for Delia so she can reach things. Obvious, nice cleaner. This is a plastic bag holders that you can buy at IKEA. I think it costs like $2. And we use it to hold all kinds of things depending on what we're doing and where we are. Typically we have our potatoes, a couple other vegetables, and the toilet paper usually sits on top. And then this guy hangs up here most of the time like that. This is also our fill port for the 10-gallon water tank. And that 10-gallon water tank sits behind the pantry, which goes in about this deep. So from this point all the way back to the edge to up to about this tall is the 10-gallon water tank right in there. So gravity fed directly into it. It's got the breather. If you top it off and then go hit a trail, you will have water shoot out of this. So be mindful of what you're going to be doing when you fill up your water. And then another convenience port. This one is primarily here so we can plug in the Dometic if needed while using it. There's so many things to talk about, I forget all of the details. We also have some extra storage underneath the floor. So I also built this entire floor, and the way I did that is I built a 2020 aluminum extrusion subfloor.
and I created a grid style pattern, and it's got legs because this floor underneath here, it goes down all the way to the footwell for the passengers, and then it's flat from there forward. So from this point forward, it just kind of gradually goes down. So a lot of the legs are different lengths and stuff like that underneath there, but they're all set to the appropriate length to create a nice flat surface, so that I was able to create a nice level area to stand and cook on and things like that. So as long as the vehicle is level, the interior space is level as well. That took quite a bit of time to figure out, but it all came together nicely. We have another storage section right here, just like the front one. Tried to create as easy access as possible. And this, like I said, it just kind of continues to drop down into the footwell area right here. And once we get into this footwell area, there's a lot going on up here, because this is where my utilities and things like that are. So we can really jump in and dive in deep a little bit on the inner workings of the vehicle. And, you know, how do you make it as comfortable as possible with, you know, what would it be? The most comfortable living you can provide in the smallest space. You know, that's kind of what we're going for, I guess, in this scenario, because the vehicle doesn't get much smaller than this, but through some modifications, it turns into something that is quite roomy in a sense, and has a lot of capabilities built into it. Let's take a little look at the utility space and kind of the thing that keeps everything operating as a whole. First, we're gonna jump down to the bottom. We'll start at the bottom and work our way up here. So one of the first things you're gonna see here is the giant big black box with all the wires running to it. That is our main battery. This is a eco-worthy Amazon 240 amp hour battery. I've got no complaints with it so far. We've been running it for a year and a half, almost 2 years now, and it's been performing well. Connected to that is our 12-volt DC marine style fuse panel. Just put my basic connector aspects to it. The fridge is a 15, and the 2 DC ports on the back are 15, and the upstairs wire that runs up there, that is a 20, because we run our electric blankets on that, and so that needed to be 20 amps. When I say upstairs, I mean in the tent section when we go to bed, because of the way our upstairs that's how I call it upstairs. You go in and then you climb up on top of a platform where the bed is, and then you lower the other side down into the bed, and then that's what we would consider our upstairs. So I guess that would be our bedroom. Would be the way I would say that. Yeah. See what you can make of all that nonsense. Down here also, this is the solar power connector, and I just have it split so I can run the solar panel from the roof, and then I can put in a secondary solar panel to feed in and charge the battery as well. One thing to note, if you do this, you have to make sure that the voltage coming from both solar panels are within a very, very close proximity of each other, or it will only take power from one panel, not both, just as a heads up. So it's probably your best bet to pair, if you're gonna do this style thing. And the reason I did this, because I have one panel that is mounted permanently, and then I have one panel that I can place where I need it to get the most optimum sun. So just kind of make sure that you purchase the same brand, and that will guarantee that you will be running the same voltage. So the solar panel runs forward up here, and that wire runs directly to our Wagon Tech 40 amp DC to DC charger. And that's right over here, and I mounted that underneath the seat, and then have the activation wire running to the cigarette plug that's in the center dash, because that turns off and on with the vehicle. So that way it will not turn on unless the vehicle is running. Very important, because you don't want to drain your battery. And that also provides the power from the motor to the battery, and the power from the solar panel to the battery. So that is a one-stop shop kind of solution. It was super easy to install, and I'm really happy with that. A cool thing that also comes with that, I almost forgot, is you can get it's a smart monitor, and it plugs directly into that unit, and then you can place that monitor wherever you want, and it has a nice little screen, and it gives you a description and voltage, and if you know your voltage numbers and stuff like that, you can basically figure out your state of charge pretty quick. All right, moving on from the Wagantech DC to DC 40 amp charger, we also have a Wagantech 2000 watt inverter. We obviously decided to go with Wagantech. We love their products, and as a company, I think they're one of the best out there with customer service and the support of their products as a whole. So super happy with that one, and it runs everything that we needed to do. I can charge anything that I want to charge off of it. 2000 watts. Essentially, a 2000 watt inverter will run a microwave, will run almost any of your typical household items, because you have to think most breakers in a household are 15 amp breakers. That's their max load. So anything over 15 amps isn't going to be anywhere near 2000 watts. Typically 15 amp is about 1500 watts, maybe 1750 watts. So you're pretty much solid to run almost any household item off of this 2000 watt inverter. And that's pretty cool, because as a side note, someone loses power, start your car up, plug it in, plug your fridge in, plug in something like that, and you can keep it charged or keep it running while the power's out. That's not how we use it, but just giving you options. Moving up to the back of the truck fridge, you see a bunch of wires and doodads here. This is our DC conversion for our Starlink system. The reason we decided to do that is because the Starlink as a whole comes as AC, and we had that running out of our inverter for quite a few months, and we realized very quickly that if you're running the Starlink through the inverter and then through their own conversion, you know, into the router and everything that happens through that, we were using almost 100 amp hours a day by running that, and it was just too much of an energy cost. So we needed to figure out a way to do that, and this was the solution that I kind of came up with to make it as energy efficient as I can possibly make it. To do that, what I did, to jump into the weeds real quick, is this brick right here is a 12 volt to 48 volt power supply. So this is running directly to the battery, comes up, and then I have it split and fed into here. So that's a 12 volt power supply coming to here, and the red and black wire coming out is the 48 volt power supply going into the PoE. A PoE is power over Ethernet. This block right here is what they call a PoE injector. And what this does is it takes power and data, and it will sort it out and provide the power where the power is needed, and receive the data and provide the data to where it's needed, being the data being needed to the DC router here, and then the power being ran to the modem, which is the Starlink itself, the dish itself. And this unit here is a plug and play scenario, so I don't have to cut the stock Starlink connector. I just plug it right in here, and then it does the conversion and has it reroutes out to a regular Ethernet connector, which is the only way to connect to a PoE. To power the router, we have a 12 volt system, and this one it's actually a step down. So we're taking a 12 volt and we're bringing it down to 5 volts, 3 amps. And our output is a type C, and just made it nice and easy. You can pick whatever output you need. So if your device is not a type C output, you can pick the appropriate output and then plug it into your router. And that kind of is a quick overview of this. If you have questions or more detailed answers than what I've given in the video, hit us up in the comments. We'll try to respond back. And if we don't hit you there, hit us in our DMs and we can definitely answer. So one thing you'll figure out if you ever decide to live in a vehicle for longer than a weekend or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, you know, be in a vehicle for a while. There's certain areas like this backside, no one needs to see this backside of the vehicle, and you can add a lot of thermal properties and really improve the efficiency of your electronics and your fridges and things like that by taking them out of direct sunlight. And so what we did is we just bought a big roll of the, it's the, I guess like bubble foam kind of, it's not foam, it's just air bubbles. And then they put this reflectant material on the outside. I think it's like Thermex or something like that, but super easy. We just took a cardboard and cut out the shape, and then we put the cardboard over the top of this, and then we cut it out to the shape, slid them in. We did one here. We did one for all the windows except for the rear window. So if we're in really, really hot scenarios, we can put these up in all the windows and leave the top roof open, and it stays cool enough inside that it's okay that Ella is inside the vehicle, because this is our home. We don't have anywhere else to put her. So, you know, we open that up, open up the vents. It feels safe enough to us. No one can jump into the vehicle. It's not easy. And it provides a nice thermal barrier for her, and it keeps the car nice and cool as well. So we got our door jamb here. Nice, classy, gray on gray with a little bit of gray. Very, very nice. So always fun to see what people keep in their doors, right? So we've got trusty, faithful umbrella for the worst case scenarios. You're gonna notice a theme on my side of the door at least. These are bug covers to cover up all the windows, and so we can have them open when it's really hot and keep the bugs out. This is a cool little doodad. Everyone should have one of these if you got stuff on top of your roof. There's a million different versions. I have no idea what version we got, but this one slides up. Now you got a nice stand. You can get up on top or reach something that you probably wouldn't be able to reach otherwise. So that's really cool. And it also has this, so you know you want to go around breaking glass for some reason, got you covered. So the next part we got in here is my front window cover. Want to make sure, again, try to minimize heat. Another rain device is just a raincoat. Just slip over, you know, one of those quick pull over ones. This is my fanny that I keep with me everywhere. This is where, it's, you know, if you see me with this guy, I've got stickers. So come grab a sticker. You see me, grab a sticker. And then this is my Bible. You know, shit hits the fan. This is where you go. And that's what I have on my side. On Delia's side, that's a whole nother story.
And for my door jamb, this is basically kind of like my vanity area, if you may. So we have my water bottle, very, very important. Always gotta stay hydrated. And then we have lotion. We share the lotion, that's why it's a big bottle. I have hand sanitizer. We were traveling through COVID times. I had to hand sanitize after touching anything, and I like to touch everything. So this gets used a lot. Then we have leave-in conditioner. I don't even have a comb in here, but my hair gets really tangly, and leave-in conditioner helps to comb my hair. We have off insect repellent. During the summertime, if we go somewhere with mosquitoes, I'm prone to getting bit. They don't seem to bother eating. They just follow me around, so I have to spray this everywhere. And if I do get bit, hydrocortisone, because it's itchy. This is just a bottle of water. I think we were using it to install something. You never know when you need some spray water. Tea oil, again, for insect bites. Dry shampoo. So I use dry shampoo to clean my hair, and then the detangler to comb my hair. And then behind all this is just an assortment of paper. We have koozies, you know, for drinks. This is a cool magazine, Overland Adventures magazine. I wrote an article that was featured in it. It's right here, from Brooklyn to boondocking. I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York. So this picture here, this was the very first iteration of Yogi. Smitty built rooftop tent, silver. And then if you look up here, this is when we had the trailer, so that was the second iteration. And then What you see now is the third iteration and hopefully the final one. Yeah, it's my space.
All right, jumping up into the front seat now. Let's see, we've got a lot of stuff going on here. To me, I feel like there's not a lot, but there really is, I guess. So first we'll start with your classic, here's our phone holders. We went with the magnetic style because MagSafe, it works really well. Even off-road, it holds on very, very tight. Super happy with that. Moving over from that, we've got our Stinger High 10 radio. This one I'm really, really happy with. The sound quality has been really great, and it offers a 4-camera input system, which is something I'm excited to utilize once I can, you know, get 4 cameras. One day. Below that, we drop down here to our Midland radio. We have this hardwired into the switch panel, which is mounted in the engine bay. This is nice and convenient. Just all of our devices that run, they just run off of this. So we just run them on and on, whatever we gotta do, play around with them bad boys. Over here, I put in a port. This is a USB and HDMI port, and that runs to the back of the Stinger radio as well. This provides Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. So both of those will go through there. If you've got a 15, you can just use the one wire. So Android and Apple now use the same C connector. But if you have an older Apple, you will have to get a secondary wire and switch those out. Really cool part, HDMI, something we like to do. We can throw a Chromecast into that because we have our Starlink while we're on the road, and we can play videos at any parking lot or any stop that we stop at and watch a little Netflix for 30 minutes or whatever, and then hit the road again, go take Ella for a walk, you know, all those little things. So it's a nice little comfortable spot to sit up here, especially in these brand new Pro 4X 2022 seats that we pulled out of a Frontier and installed in our Nissan Xterra. And they were a bolt-in scenario with some modifications to some of the safety components. And there is a video up on All Dogs Off-Road YouTube page if you wanted to do this yourself. I'm super excited with these. These are the most comfortable seats I've had in a long, long time, especially since our old ones had 285,000 miles on them. So this is a big, big change for us, and really, really happy with them. The only other thing I have left up here to talk about really is we do have a pedal commander, something that I've come to realize with a manual transmission. The pedal commander, the only feature that works for a manual transmission is the eco mode. And what that does is it actually retards how much gas you're giving it instead of accelerating the gas or pedal position. So that works for me. It's nice because it helps me with my heavy foot. So I get a little bit better gas mileage in the eco mode, but the rest of the settings have no purpose for a manual. With an automatic, I could see where it could be beneficial, but with the standard, it just makes your RPMs jump way too much when you're trying to shift, and it's not really manageable. So it's only good if you have a manual. It's only good in eco mode. If you have an automatic, you can use all the modes. Also, I got this really cool ARB thingy at King of the Hammers this year, and it's really cool because it looks just like the one I have on my differential. And here's the nice smart panel that I was talking about that connects to the DC to DC charger, and that'll give you a reading from your engine power when your alternator is running, how much it's pulling from the motor and putting into the battery. And then if you're running solar, it'll tell you how much amperage and stuff it's taking in from the solar and putting it into the battery. So that's pretty cool. I like that. It gives you nice easy readings. And with their new inverter, I believe that they're releasing this year, it will connect to this also, and it'll track the power you're pulling out of your inverter plus the power that's being put into it, and then it gives you like an average burn rate and all that kind of stuff. I'm not sure exactly all the details on it, but once they have that out, I am excited to try that guy out and see how it's gonna work with the smart controller.
All right, let's talk about the exterior of the Xterra. The first thing you'll notice is the green paint that we have on it. It is actually a custom tank green color mixed with bed liner, so it has a little bit of a rough texture, but still a little bit of shine from the paint. In the front, we bed line this whole grille area. We have the Nismo front bumper paired with the Warn 9.0 RC winch and the Factor 55 Fairlead and Ultra hook. All the way from the front to back, we are running Xterra aluminum skid plates. They sent us a piece right here so we could connect our Nismo front bumper to their front skid. They have taken a beating and still holding on strong. We are running 285/70 R17 Firestone Destination MT2 tires paired with the All Dogs Off-Road RB 17-inch bronze rims. One of my favorite parts of the whole tire setup are these little tire valve caps. They hook on directly to them, so you'll never lose them. Very, very useful product made by Solve Function. For the front suspension, we have Radflow 2.0 shocks with reservoirs. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention, we are Titan swapped. That is probably the newest thing. Enoch was always, no Titan swap, I don't want to be wide. And then he just gave in. And so now we're wide boys. So we are Titan swapped, running the All Dogs Off-Road Titan upper control arms. And in the back, we also have the Radflow shocks, and then we are running the All Dogs Off-Road parabolic leaf springs. Those we run because we have so much weight in the vehicle, so they are rated for 650 pounds plus. Helps keep our lift of, now that we're Titan swapped, 3.5 inches, I think he said. And then we also have Sumo Spring bump stops, much softer than the original bump stops that come with the Xterra. You don't feel like you're getting bottomed out. And then we also have a CJD racing shackle to help with the lift. On the side here, we have hardcore off-roading rock sliders. They've held on since the beginning, and they're still on there now. So for ditch lights, we have Max Gear Armor ditch light brackets paired with Amazon Special Nightlight ditch lights. We have had these for 3 years now, and they are still going. So not everything from Amazon sucks. One thing we are missing light-wise are fog lights. So, you know, if anyone wants to sponsor us for some fog lights, wink, wink. We also have the Airflow snorkel. Inside, it's paired with the Volant cold air intake. And this is fully sealed, so normally snorkels are for dust, but since it's fully sealed, it helps us in water, high water situations as well. So we really maximize all of the space we have on the Xterra. So on the top of the rooftop tent, the 2 front brackets mount our exit tracks traction boards. So behind that, we have 2 quick release brackets from the mounting company. Really cool system. We have them put onto our AV Overland aluminum boxes, and you just pull the lever and it comes right off the bracket, easy access. Behind that, we have a 120-watt solar panel, and then all the way on the very top is our Starlink. It is mounted on a 3D printed custom base, which allows us to use it while we're in motion. So over here, we have a custom rung built at the Elevated Overland shop. And this is just basically an easy way for Enoch to climb out of the side of the rooftop tent, come down using the step or the tire, and so he could go to the bathroom in the middle of the night without disturbing me. Above that, we used to have stickers displaying all of the national parks that we've been to, but we went through 2 sets. They were getting cracked, they were getting sun faded, and so we found this awesome company, All Roads Taken. They laser engrave their badges so that they basically will last forever. And so this is a great way to display all of the national parks that we've been to. We've been to 52 out of the 63 so far, Alaska coming this summer. And it's, they don't just make badges for national parks. You can also display states, national forests, trails that you've gone on, all different types of things. So if you like showing people where you've been, great company, check them out. Back here, this is one of Enix's first custom mods to the vehicle, just the jerry can holder. It's mounted through the panel where the first aid kit in all Xterras are. And we still have the first aid kit in the bumper. He just mounted it there, and it's a great way to have your jerry can outside and secure, and you don't have to smell any fumes. And then these chase lights, again, Amazon chase lights. We added orange film to it so that you can see it through the dust. For our windshield wipers, we have scrub blade shade blades. As you can see here, they are green to match Yogi. Not really, but same shade. Scrub blades are great. They have little bumps along the blade, which helps rub off bugs, dirt, anything you get on your windshield. Check them out. Over here, we have the Big Country 4x4 ostrich wing 270 awning. We also have walls for it, which makes it like an external room on the outside. I'm gonna open it up and show you what it looks like. This was not hung by me, obviously. You're a liar! I can't even reach the zipper! Gosh.
There you go, you got it.
I've never opened this up before. Now what?
Now there's a strap, so you undo the strap.
Oh my gosh. I didn't even do the zipper.
Yeah, you gotta unzip it already.
How do you climb up on this side? Oh my gosh. Oh.
The magic hand came.
God's hand came out.
Help with the waterfall.
It's windy. Wow, this is big. I can't. How do you do this? You don't understand how big these steps are.
You got it around there. There you go.
This is very high for me. And this is it. It's actually really, really good in the wind. Oh, there's also this one thing here that I can't reach, but it goes up, which arches all of the panels so that rain falls down. So that's one thing that's different that I haven't seen on any other awning, because normally you have to push all the water out, but these legs also come down if we want to put our wall kit, and it encloses basically this whole area. And so it's great for friends if they want to just set up a tent next to you, or set up their cot or sleeping bag next to you and be covered under the elements, or just set up your chair and have like a mini solo stove fire and hang out. So yeah, that was a struggle.
All right, so that's a rig walk around for Yogi here. And as you can see, the build out's pretty impressive. I like to think so. And it's ready for our next trip, which is we're going up to Alaska this summer, and then we're gonna be heading down to Pan Am right after that. So we're super excited about that. So if you wanna hit us up, reach out to us in any way, shape, or form, our best way to contact us is through Instagram at MolleXVentures. We also have our YouTube and TikToks and stuff, but our main platform is Instagram. So check us out there for the behind the scenes goodies.
Yeah.